Hi folks, it's Ben again. How are we this week? Sorry that this week is, there was a gap, but now I'm back, I'm here, still doing the freelance hustle, still trying to keep on keeping on. How has your fortnight been, all 2 weeks of it? I've had a bit of a rough time, really. There's been a few things on the roller coaster that is freelancing. There's a lot of applying for things and dealing with rejection from those applications is really, really commonplace. So I'd applied for some funding to develop a play that I've written, which sadly didn't get. There are a couple of other little things, and these rejections do come, but the good news is that wherever you get it down, there's a little bit of a pickup, and I managed to get a couple of nice little bits of work that fell into my lap towards the middle and end of last week. So whereas it started off with four sort of big not upsetting, but they get to you, rejections. I then had a nice little sort of end of the week where things picked up. I also had my housewarming party last weekend, which was very, very fun, but also did take up almost all of my brain power with bits of cooking and hosting and tidying. I love hosting and sort of doing the social stuff. I think I'm fairly good at networking. I meet a lot of cool people and I like to build those connections stronger where I can. And I'm a fairly good cook, if I say so myself. Early on in lockdown, as a little project, I was live streaming whilst I cooked dinner, sort of several times a week, and that was really quite nice actually. Trying to come up with new recipes to share with people. I'm not really a book kind of cook. I'll get ideas out of books and then I will make my own twist on them, which I really like. I think my voice is sounding a bit deeper at the moment. It's got more of a bass note, I can feel it. It's probably because I'm very tired. Oh well. What can I tell you about the things I have been working on? Well, one of the bits of good news I got last week was that I had an interview for the commission with the Carrington Street project that I mentioned, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. Basically, there was a commission out to become a commission poet to work with the Carrington Street Heritage Project. And I found out I got an interview for that. Had that on Tuesday, I think. Found out on the Thursday that sadly I didn't get it, which again sucks, but rejection is part of the game we're playing. But with that project, they asked me to do a sample of the work I had done. So in a couple of weeks, I will share that little project. I was fairly proud of what I made, and it's sort of nice to have a project that I actually finished. I've had a lot of creative blocks lately, just not really being able to access my creativity. I don't know if it's with getting the house ready or the changes that come with that, but it's just been a little bit tough to sort of get the old motivation up there for self-started work. Applying for things is fine, but actually the creativity that I sort of drive myself on has been harder to access lately. But fingers crossed we're coming through that now. This time of year is always a bit of an odd one for me. August is kind of like my creative/professional new year. Usually August I will go up to Edinburgh for 2 to 3 weeks and be up at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. If you've not been to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, it is an enormous arts festival, I think the largest festival in the world, and the whole city of Edinburgh historically has been turned over to hosting venues for theatre, spoken word, comedy, poetry, dance, puppetry, burlesque, cabaret, all sorts of weird, wonderful arts kind of things. And I took a break from it in 2019, thinking I'm going to have 1 year off and then I will go back next year. And then the pandemic happened. And of course, that then meant that I didn't go to Edinburgh in 2020. And I knew that I'd be moving house this year in 2021, so I didn't have the time or the money I could commit to going up there, And also, of course, rolling on, it's been harder to get things booked in and set up because there hasn't been that much there yet. You don't know if venues are going to be open, you don't know if shows are going to be attractive or profitable, if there's even going to be allowed to go ahead. I decided then this year to again take another year off. So it's been 3 years since I've sort of had that big festival rejuvenation that I normally get to recharge my batteries going into the autumn. I do wonder if that's why I've maybe been having a little bit of difficulty tapping into my creativity. An email just arrived and you probably heard it. That's good news. What's happened? I've got rehearsal rooms booked. Yay. That's very exciting. We're booking a rehearsal space for Miss Imps' It's a Trap, the improvised Star Wars show, which is going on at the Nottingham Playhouse on the 1st of October. And I'll put a link for that down in the thing below because it's a really fun show. We make stories for those sort of background characters and sort of anthology series ideas. So we're often like rebels or smugglers or just ordinary Imperial stormtroopers trying to go around their day-to-day lives whilst everything else just goes to hell around them. It's a really great night, and it'd be awesome to see you there if you are interested. But going back to the Edinburgh Festival, I find that whilst I am there, you can't take a break, so you sort of get this reset built in. I usually be doing and promoting a show, trying to see as much as I can, and there's a thing in creativity of trying to refill your fuel tanks with ideas and inspiration, and I wonder if that's part of the problem I'm having at the moment with accessing my creativity, but we'll get through it. The odd thing about creative work is that so much of what goes on to people who consume art is that they just focus on the product. You know, I've seen the show, I've looked at the painting, I've heard the song, but there's so much more work behind that that goes into it, and you can get yourself worn out if you keep expecting that to go through. But when your creative life is attached to that, you sort of have to live on a bit of a conveyor belt whilst you sort of hustle to find the next bit of work and the next bit of work, whilst also hopefully trying to produce your own work as well to build your career independently as well as in conjunction with other people. One of the things I'm really excited about at the moment, an upcoming project, is trying to pull together an Arts Council bid to get a staged reading of the play I wrote earlier in the year, Horseman, created. Horseman is a post-apocalyptic comedy set amongst the four horsemen of the apocalypse who've been left behind just after the world has ended. It's a very silly show about redemption, trying to be good to your community, trying to do the right thing when all things sort of seem difficult. And there's a little bit of a questioning the role of corporations in how the world works and how people are handled more and more in the modern world, which just I find very interesting as a person who's worked with small businesses and big businesses. The way that particularly big businesses treat the people they work for is something that needs to be thought of, and there are some businesses that do it really, really well, get it absolutely right, and there are some that do it less well. So I scaled that up to a divine level and set it after the end of time. That's a little snippet. There we go. Yes, so I'm starting to pull together an Arts Council bid for that, get some ideas, work out some budgeting, try to find some partners, and then hopefully we'll get some actors, get them in a room, do a staged reading, and I'll work out what I need to adapt and improve on the script that I'm working on. But yes, excited about that. I've also had the chance to perform again lately with Miss Imp. We had our first show since February 2020, which was Smash Night at the Playwright on Shakespeare Street in Nottingham. Smash Night is a brilliant little night. It's got a Miss Imp house group of players who'll do either a mixture of short form fast improv games or a longer form, sort of more narrative, character-driven set. And then there's a couple of guest acts, and I got to be one of the guest acts on this one with a little project called Ben Pals, which is basically me saying, hey, improv friends slash comedy crushes, would you like to make up stuff with me for 20 to 40 minutes and make people laugh if we can? And this time I got to do it with Nick Tyler, who is one of the most influential people in my sort of improv journey, if not my whole comedy journey. Nick's been one of the people who've been running Miss Imp for years, and sort of with his like guidance and sort of inclusion, I've managed to get involved more and more with a group I'm really passionate about. And he commits so much time to it, but it's coupled with this fantastic manic energy that you sort of just have to hitch your horse to and ride along with, otherwise you're going to be left in the wake. And I think I caught up fairly well with him on the stage. He runs a million miles an hour, and every single step he takes is hilarious and characterful and a joy to play with. So it was really, really fun to get to spend sort of 25 minutes messing around with my friend, which is the whole point of the show. That's probably all we're going to talk about this time. Hopefully next time I talk I'll have done a bit more in my week. I know I actually have some time coming up and a bit of work. I'm going to be a pirate in Derby on Bank Holiday Monday, so tomorrow. That's very exciting. And then back to the grindstone of finding things, writing things, keeping busy. That's all I think this time. In the meantime, you take care, stay safe, and we'll talk soon. Bye.